Multiple billionaires have doubled their Bitcoin holdings very recently. But why now? Why are we seeing firms and billionaires all start to FOMO into Bitcoin? And is this the start of billionaire FOMO into Bitcoin? And how quickly are we going to see billionaires start to become some of the largest holders of Bitcoin and turn Bitcoin into their largest holdings? Of course, we're talking about the billionaire Paul Tudor Jones, folks, who has now doubled his Bitcoin holdings through the BlackRock IBIT ETF to nearly $500 million. Folks, this isn't the first billionaire or firm that we're seeing now start to FOMO into Bitcoin, but this also isn't the first time that Paul Tudor Jones has come out and said that he's long Bitcoin and long gold. Don't listen to me. Let's hear it here, folks.
Is this, given all of the things you're saying, are you off buying gold and Bitcoin and
I think all roads lead to inflation. We're going to end up, but
does all roads lead to inflation? Therefore, gold is a good investment. Is Bitcoin a good investment to you?
I'm long gold. I'm long Bitcoin. I think commodities are so ridiculously underowned. So I'm long commodities. I think most young people find their inflation hedges via the NASDAQ. That's also been great. It's probably some combination. I probably have some basket of gold, Bitcoin, commodities, and NASDAQ, something like that. And I don't.
See, listen to him, folks. He's got some sort of basket of gold, Bitcoin, and commodities. Well, he literally doubled up his Bitcoin holdings in Q4, and it gets released here today, as we've seen a lot of other billionaires double down their holdings in Bitcoin in Q4. But what happened in Q4 when all of these funds, Goldman Sachs, we did a video on that previously, and all these others doubled down their Bitcoin holdings? Well, let's take it here, folks. Look, in that time period, when we see October, November, December, we see Bitcoin at 60,000. Bitcoin more than 50% increased and peaked over 105,000 before the end of the year in Q4, when all these major firms really started to double down their holdings, right? We have Goldman Sachs. We had the billionaire Paul Tudor Jones double his Bitcoin ETF holdings to $445 million. And Paul Tudor Jones is coming out and saying, hey, folks, look at what I'm doing. I am openly telling you this gold and inflation, or this inflation is going to be running rampant. Gold and Bitcoin in the NASDAQ 100 need to be a part of your portfolio to hedge against this, right? So we're doubling down on this. But I think the unique aspect of what Paul Tudor Jones is doing is that now, because he's boosted his Bitcoin holdings so high, it's potentially making Bitcoin his largest non-options investment, right? So his 13F filing reported another $160 million in Bitcoin, BlackRock's IBIT ETF, upping his shares in Q2, and he's continuing to double down more and more here. Every single quarter that passes, he keeps on doubling down and keeps increasing that holding. Now, why is he doing that? He brought up inflation in that video I showed you guys earlier. Well, you guys know one of my favorite websites of all time, Govflation here. Oh, well, CPI, Brandon, was merely at 3% in January. We should be fine. Wrong. Incorrect. If you look at the basket of goods as it was calculated in 1982, before the data manipulation was just wide open and everybody was able to see and kind of feel that inflation, well, that is having inflation sit at 10.67% at this 3% mark, right, folks? So despite what everybody is telling you, despite the government reporting these statistics and saying, hey, inflation is over, look at what they do and not what they say, right? We're seeing Goldman Sachs, I did a video on that earlier this week, double down their Bitcoin ETF holdings in Q4, right? All of these places doubling down their Bitcoin holdings in Q4. Look what subsequently happened. Bitcoin price absolutely skyrocketed and ran up. Look, we even have pension funds now starting to double down. Wisconsin's pension fund was doubling down because they're seeing the writing on the wall, folks. They want to protect their investment. They want to protect their investors. So they are doubling down their Bitcoin holdings for a Wisconsin pension fund, right? So, I mean, we're going to, as my man Pete T. Payne says, we're going to put you in a mansion all the way in Wisconsin. But that price changes, right? That mansion in Wisconsin is changing here, folks, right? They changed the Google map to say Wisconsin. The publicly traded Bitcoin miners are doubling their holdings, doubled their holdings all throughout 2025. They realize, hey, if we're actually mining this thing, we see the writing on the wall. We see President Trump coming into office. We see nation state adoption. We see BlackRock talking about sovereign wealth funds starting to adopt Bitcoin and looking at a 2 to 5% allocation. We're seeing all of these things happen here. And so we're doubling up our holdings. We're even seeing the biggest Bitcoin bull on planet Earth, the Giga Chad himself, Michael Saylor, changed the name of his company to Strategy because they want to double down their Bitcoin holdings in 2025. As if Michael Saylor, the Giga Chad, could not become a bigger Bitcoin bull. He's rebranded the Strategy in the plan to double his Bitcoin holdings here, folks. So no matter who you are, when you get this Bitcoin strategy going, you continue to double down time and time again, right? And it's not just the small guys, folks. It is not just Michael Saylor. He's not just an anomaly here. We have multiple billionaires buying this BlackRock ETF, and the experts, quote, experts are saying that it may soar up 50K%. And that's what Bitcoin was at 100,000. They're saying this. Several billionaire hedge fund managers are talking about this, right? And what do billionaire hedge fund managers do? They tell you what they collude with each other, right? They tell each other, hey, we think this is going to be a good investment. Several billionaire hedge fund managers in the third quarter added to their positions. What did they do in the fourth quarter? They doubled them, right? Israel Engler of Millennial Management bought 12.6 million shares of BlackRock's ETF, increasing its stake by 116%, doubled it, making it the 8th largest holding. Paul Tudor Jones of Tudor Investment bought 3.5 million shares of iShares, raising his stake by 409%, so 4xing his holding. The BlackRock fund is now his 3rd largest holding, excluding options. All of these holdings are now becoming in their top 10 of these billionaire hedge fund managers. It's because their clients are demanding it, folks. Stephen Schoenfield of Schoenfield Strategic Advisors bought 1.2 million shares of the iShares Bitcoin Trust, increasing his stake by 30%. The BlackRock fund is now his 4th largest holdings. So watch what they do here, folks. They are heavily increasing their Bitcoin holdings at a drastic pace, making it in their top 10, some in their top 5, some in their top 3 holdings when these ETF products have not even been out an entire year, folks. That shows the amount of demand that we have here, is that all of these guys are actively doubling and tripling down on their Bitcoin holdings. Now, you might be asking yourself, all right, who's these millennial management guys? They have $70 billion worth of assets under management. This makes it one of the world's largest alternative asset management firms, $70 billion. They could potentially unlock that and now start to double in and triple into Bitcoin, folks. And it's not just these billionaires. Everybody else is following suit as well, folks. We're seeing Bitcoin wallets holding $1,000 surge 20% in 2024. And this was in October. So this was pre-run up. Bitcoin was at 60,000 during this time. But, I mean, as the great folks over at Bitcoin magazines are saying, this 2024 Bitcoin report, parabolic growth predicted for Q4 in 2024. Exclusive analysis and expert insights. Q4 dynamics here. Historical performance, derivatives, mining, yada, yada, yada. But what else happened? Institutional accumulation. We saw it here, folks. We saw it in the price action. It was reflected here. It was reflected in the price action when Paul Tudor Jones, when Goldman Sachs, when all of these guys were doubling down. So what's going on now? Are they not doubling down? Are they backing off a little bit? Is that why we're seeing it sideways? Well, I think it's a little bit of a correction. We saw the FOMO money come in towards the end of the year. We saw President Trump get elected. Everybody was super bullish. So now everybody's potentially backing off just a slight bit. But folks, this is not the message of the video here. Message of this video is that these billionaires, now that all the reports are coming out of their holdings, we find out that all of these guys have been doubling down on Bitcoin and continue to double down every single time that they get an opportunity. Paul Tudor Jones, a well-known billionaire hedge fund manager, has significantly increased his investment in one of the most sought-after exchange-traded funds on the market. And all these filings just came out now. So we don't quite have the data for Q1 yet, folks. But if I had to put a bet on it, I would bet that they're going to start doubling down and potentially adding to that position here pretty quickly. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out here, folks, because all of these guys, right? We've got billionaires, we've got hedge funds, we've got all of these now adding to their Bitcoin holdings, showing that, hey, this is potentially their largest holding outside of options. Potentially that's going to change here soon, when it's going to be including options. These investment managers are going to have Bitcoin as their largest holdings. Now, why are they going to go all in on Bitcoin? Well, it's been the best performing asset for the past 16 years, and it's looking to continue to do that, right? So what is going to continue and keep going here, right? We've got a few comments in the chat about gold been trending higher as Bitcoin is fiat to low, or is flat to lower, excuse me. I keep seeing fiat. I guess that's just it. But just like March 2024 through October 24, gold front runs Bitcoin, uptrend coming. And that's true. Let's pull up a gold chart here as well, so we can look at that and see kind of, here we go, gold spot US dollar price, right? I'll bring that to you guys for the forefront here. Even though this is a daily chart, right? We see the 1 day going down a little bit, but 1 month, 7%. For gold, that's pretty damn good. So, oh, I'm not even showing you guys this. So gold, 7%. That's pretty damn good. And like my man in the chat, Down Under Blues, is saying, gold tends to front run Bitcoin and front run the market. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you here. 6 months up 15%. That's pretty damn solid for gold. Up 9% year to date, and it's going to keep ticking up. Why are we seeing this tick up? Well, it's this right here, folks. CPI. Inflation's not done with, right? Govflation.com, great website in order to see this. Malolo, excuse me if I incorrectly pronounced that, but he said these major players in finance see BTC becoming global monetary base layer. That's 5 million BTC value, or 10 million per coin, if global derivatives markets are included. And that derivative market is the biggest financial market on the planet. I think it's estimated to be well over, multiple $1 trillion worth. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see Bitcoin run up. But I mean, we're talking about these ETFs, traditional finance, and everything along those lines. But I think the true power of Bitcoin, folks, is to hold it yourself, hold it in cold storage. Now, I wouldn't even trust a lot of these exchanges because they're opens you up to a lot of counterparty risk. That's why I partnered with the Bitcoin Well. You can go to the bitcoinwell.com/green candle and sign up here, folks. You can enter your email. They give you wishing well tokens in order to give you away free sats every time you buy a little Bitcoin that you could set up direct deposit. You have a chance to win up 1 million sats, folks. That's generational wealth. They're giving it to you. If you ask my buddy Luke Mikic, that might be enough to retire here in a few months. So definitely give this a look here if you're in the United States or Canada. And if you're looking for a giant purchase of 50K plus, go to their OTC desk. They are the absolute best with that. They will walk you through all of your Bitcoin purchases. They will help you figure out what you need to do in order to, make sure that Bitcoin is safe and secure for a large purchase. Now, They've got a lot of great white glove service. And if Paul Tudor Jones was a little bit smarter, maybe he'd be using Bitcoin well in order to do that. Instead, he's trusting Larry Fink and BlackRock to carry out his Bitcoin transactions. But I think the interesting part of all of this is that when you look at Paul Tudor Jones talking through this, right? He's talking through his the holdings, what everything's looking at with Bitcoin, talking about it. Look at the price at this time, folks. It was at 67,000 when he was talking about this. 67,000. So I think that more of these people in the traditional financial space are looking at Bitcoin and saying, hey, we're seeing it run up. We're tired of getting our ass beat by all of these retail traders who all they're doing is just buying Bitcoin and holding. We're getting tired of it. MJ Dobbin says the big guns are buying quickly before the price rockets. They don't want to know until it's too late. Thanks, Brandon, for giving. I shouldn't have read the thanks, Brandon, but you're welcome, guys. Yeah, and I mean, I agree completely that the big guys will start buying again. And we will see more and more of these big guys continue to buy Bitcoin. And I think the interesting part is that they were buying in quiet, right? Somewhat quiet, right? We have Paul Tudor Jones going on national television talking about Bitcoin. So they're all buying Bitcoin, but they're not disclosing how much they're buying or anything like that. When all these reports came out, now it's relatively flat. But remember, they were buying during this run up here, folks. So maybe they're backing off just a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start to do that run up here pretty soon. So Frank from upstate New York says 60-year-old man nearing retirement, not poor, seeking similar age white Christian female. There we go. Carnivore eating. No rabbit eaters here at Saratoga. Somebody find Frank a woman here. This is what we could do on the Green Candle channel that we can't do anywhere else. Find Frank a woman who's looking for, we need Bitcoin, the Bitcoin space. I'm calling to you guys. Help find Frank a nice similar age woman nearing retirement so he could spend some of his years with as a like-minded female here. So maybe we'll play matchmaker. It's 2 days after Valentine's Day, so I'm here to help you out, Frank. Maybe potentially we could get Frank a girl. Everybody comment maybe if you've got somebody for Frank here. McLovin's saying we've got an app for that, but hey, why get an app when you got Green Candle's YouTube channel here where we can help Frank do all that? But let's get back on track to Bitcoin, folks. Maybe we can make a video about Frank's love life another time. Frank, I love you, man. I hope everything is all well. But as a lot of people in the chat are saying, the gold price front runs Bitcoin. We're seeing year to date not up 9%. If you look at it compared to Bitcoin here, year to date, Bitcoin up 4%. Generally speaking, people say Bitcoin is too volatile. Is gold too volatile because it's up 9% year to date? No. The answer is no, folks. They'll never say that gold is too volatile. But if you look at what we're seeing here, right? We're seeing all of these billionaires double down their Bitcoin holdings, continue to do that, right? Continue to buy more and more Bitcoin, continue to double down. So watch what they do, not what they say, folks. All these billionaires continue to stack Bitcoin. You should too. And Frank, actually, I've got an idea for you, buddy. If you want to meet Bitcoiners in person, you need to go to some of these Bitcoin events. You need to go to some conferences. So maybe, just maybe, Frank, your future wife, girlfriend, whatever you'd like, is at BitBlock Boom down in Dallas. BitBlock Boom's in early April 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. They've even got a golf tournament for you, Frank, if you've got the time. So you could come down and potentially meet your wife down here, right? So and you can use promo code Green Candle. You can get 10% off of every single ticket that you get. Meet Bitcoiners in person, meet like-minded individuals. Maybe you meet your wife there. I've actually met a couple people who have met their significant other and their future husband/wife at Bitcoin conferences. So I know it can happen, folks. that can happen. So meet me all down in Dallas, and potentially you can meet your wife, right? Or maybe you have the opportunity to shake some hands with the likes of people like a Paul Tudor Jones or some of these big money managers. We all know that the traditional financial space has a big presence down in Dallas. So there's a lot of people potentially buying Bitcoin over there. All right, folks. Well, as my man All Nighter Hider loves to say in the chat, smoke that like Cheech and Chong. Hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to join the Green Candle movement. And hopefully I will see you guys in person sometime soon. And we can hook Frank up with his future wife. So thank you guys all for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.